Good morning. Good afternoon, good day, whatever. It's morning for me. It's afternoon for Yaro, and who knows? This is another interview in the Ignite Your Leadership series. Yaro comes from the Czech Republic, and we met, 6 years ago or so, whenever it is. We're fellow Master RIM facilitators as well. Been through a lot together, and the title of his chapter is Leadership at the Heart Level, Tapping into Creative Powers of Mind and Emotions to Make Things Happen. And I reread it this morning, and it's juicy. So first, just tell us a little bit about how you discovered this whole process of leadership at the heart level.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, basically, it all started years ago when I always wanted, and that's the personal philosophy, when whatever you do and how good or however good you are at it, you can always do better. Mm-hmm. You can always improve. And that's how I started. So I studied management and I started to work as a team leader, trying to coordinate the cross-functional teams, which I did for a few years. And that was the first thing that I realized that when you want people from different departments to work together, you need to have something in common. You need to bring the group together. Mm-hmm. And if these people, obviously with their own personalities, ambitions, roles, almost organizational difficulties between them, struggles, conflicts, when they meet together, they all fight for themselves and for their department and from their perspective. And I was very young when I got there, and everybody was like 15 years or more older than me, more experienced in that. So I really had to find a way how to get them on board so that we work as one entity, not as a group of different people. So that was the first thing. After a couple of years, I did my postgraduate studies in management, and that was on the organizational side. So that's where I learned the process side of it. But then after 8 years of doing that, there was the Velvet Revolution, the change. And I decided to leave the company and went for my MBA to the UK. And that was a life-changing experience because over there, the studies were different. And what I got from those studies, from those 2 years, was basically that it doesn't matter how much you know. It's how much you can achieve, how well you can sell the idea, how well you can persuade, influence, impact the people around you. So while the first studies were on the process system side, mm-hmm. the technological side, over there, it was about people. And, I was surprised that I discovered that we knew much more about computers and IT and technologies and processes than what we were taught in the UK. While on the people side, how to sell one idea, if you know one concept, how you can sell it so that mm-hmm. people can buy it. So that was the major change. And then I started to work for a global company. And the first thing they did, they brought me back to the United States for, development program. So I was almost a year actually selling in the United States. And there I had to learn how to meet new people and start to work with them and sell them, be effective in that. So actually the leadership started from the angle of developing leadership in terms of being there as a leader while selling, being different from all the other guys who were mm-hmm. coming there to sell. So how would I be different? And then from the context of communication, relationships, how to build long-term relationships, not just right. come and sell and leave. It's about permanent relationship. So it was I would say, the angle of selling. And then when they said, it's over, go back and now develop the business over there, it was about how to move the business here, how to develop the business here. Because at that point of time, it was the early 90s. We were like export market. So everything was exported from somewhere, and it was very difficult, very complex. And now we had a company here and in the other countries in Central Europe. And our market share was like tiny. It was like nothing. Within 6 years, we got over 50% of market share. And this is what I call I would say, the university of leadership, of making change happen. Not just talking about the change, but making it happen. And what I learned was that the easiest thing was to come up with a strategy or a vision. That was the easiest thing. I thought that would be the thing, and that everybody will do their job on implementing it. I was too young at that point of time. And so actually my job during those 6 years was to train, prepare, develop, work with people, creating the relationships, not only between me and them, but between themselves. And it was about moving from, or helping the salespeople to become real salespeople, and the managers to become real managers, so that they can really drive the changes in their local markets. One thing I should mention was that I started as a product manager for Central Europe, and then I became a marketing director for Central and Eastern Europe. So different countries, a huge area, completely different economies and styles and approaches. And in each of these countries, we had a company, a local company. And the people were there for a couple of years, very successful, building the business. But now the game has changed. We needed to go not just, another 10%. We needed to really make a huge leap. And that required a different approach. It was about the product line, the portfolio of products. And that was the easy part. The second was how to become the standard in terms of a sales force, in terms of behavior, in terms of getting the respect or earning the respect from our clients. When you go there, obviously trying to sell something at that point of time, which was far more expensive than what they were used to. The quality was the difference in quality was huge, but they were used to something. So if they were to pay something more, well, a lot more for that, for higher quality, immediately they had difficulties to compare these two things. So how you teach the customers to see and appreciate the difference in the quality? So they do not see our products as a luxury, but as a new standard. And that was a tricky part. So a lot of investment into education, both investment into educating our people and developing our people, so that they can educate and develop the customers. So that was how I learned that, like trial and error. When people say something, yes, I'll do it, and they don't. What do you do?
Right. Yeah. I guess it.
On everything. So this was it, and that's where I learned that you just need to have the courage to rise to the challenge, no matter what comes. You just need to meet it and rise to it. So changing your whatever attitude, perspective, perception, and do what needs to be done. And that's difficult for some people. Then what you need to have is a clear vision, but you also need to make sure that your vision becomes shared vision. And that's a lot of selling. getting the buy-in from people that they say, yes, it's a good idea. And I assume my part of responsibility on, playing the game. And this is the core. You need to be with them and support them, encourage them, and be disciplined enough to follow through on those things. So this is where it all started. And then and after 8 years of doing this, I realized it's time to move. And I became a trainer. I started to work, I set up my own company, training company. And I wanted to use the expertise on teaching others. So when I was implementing the change or supporting or driving the change in the region, I thought it's easy, to train other people to do that. And it's a different thing when you do it in your company. You can have different kind of support, and you have different time or a lot of or more time. When you have a team, a management team, you need to get the results fast. You do not know the company. You just get in, and you have 1, 2, 3 days to initiate the change. So the question was, how you do it effectively, and with long-term impact. So that's where I worked first on processes and skills. But then I realized that, processes and skills are important, but so is, what's here in terms of, how I'd say that, here and here.
I was wondering where that was
the heart. Because it's about not only what you know, whether you do the right things and you do them right, but also you need to do them from the right place. From, the courage, the motivation, the self-confidence, the trust, not only, into self, but trusting others. And that is, showing vulnerability. And that's not common in companies and organizations. But if you do not do that, you play with the cards, close to your chest, immediately the reaction from them is, yes, I do the same thing. So if you want them to open and be willing to try new things, the trust is the issue, is the core issue in that. So how you do that when you have a day? How do you build a trust? Fast enough. So that's where I went to the Jack Canfield's BTS and then trainer program. And that's why I started the RIM training. So that the transformation technology is available and I can use it.
And first, you had to learn to do that yourself, right? Learn to trust and be more vulnerable.
Well, exactly. So everything comes from, as I said, from the inside out. And I can only teach, or everybody can only teach what we go through. Otherwise, it's just, from the head.
And it's not very effective that way.
And no, it's not. But at least you save a lot of years of personal growth.
Oh, but that's been the fun part, hasn't it?
I'm on the side of personal growth, because this is the, actually, I believe that this is the investment that will make a difference between successful companies, long-term successful companies, and long-term successful leaders, and the rest. It's not about investing in production or marketing. It's about investing into people, into their development, so that they become more themselves, not just employees, that they will not be afraid of saying what they think, coming up with their suggestions, responding to challenges that they will meet. That's like inevitable. It's natural thing. No matter what you do, you always hit the roadblocks and challenges. And how you approach those challenges? Would you hide from them? Would you run away? Would you stand and rise to the challenge? This is it. So if companies go into that direction, everything is easy or easier.
It is, because there's less,
It's easy.
I think, protectiveness probably of protecting your own stake in the claim, right? Your own viewpoint, rather than having that vulnerability to go, well, maybe we can work together collectively to meet a shared vision, right?
And that's exactly the point. That's about the power of 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. The energetic field is much stronger if you are 2 than just 1. If you are 20, it's far stronger than just 20 individuals. So the leadership at the heart level is actually how to tap into that field, into that emotional energy, that when people work together, that synergy effect, 1 + 1 is far more than just 2. And what I'm seeing when I work with company teams, so it can be the same thing. They are living in the same culture. I can see that 1 + 1 is far more than 10. It's like within weeks, not years, within weeks. So the changes are enormous. So that's why I'm convinced that that leadership at the heart level works.
Out of all the people I've been interviewing and all the materials I've been reading lately, you just mentioned something that I haven't heard mentioned previously, and I'm sure it's out there, but this energetic level of working together, energy, bringing that into companies that's takes some vulnerability too on your part to say, hey, put the head aside. Let's think about our heart connections with people. Yeah,
I agree.
Neat. And I know it's right, because that we can go around figuring things out, but unless we are connected at the heart level, there's no success is more difficult. I want to go through some of your steps here. I'm going to pull your chapter out. Had a bunch of questions that the 5 core elements of leadership at the heart level. You want to talk about? So we have the first one: courage to act in the face of ambiguity, uncertainty, and risk.
I was thinking which would be the easiest approach to it. I would start with saying that these 5 elements, or in the management arena, we can say 5 different styles of leadership, or in that more spiritual 5 energies, 5 different energies. Each of them is like a set of attitudes, approaches, disciplines, behavior, and they are distinct from each other. And each of them has like positives, but also their own risks, inherent risks in it. And each of them is more suitable for specific situations. But it's similar as if you were driving a car with this gear stick. You just do not use, the first gear. You need to use the second and the third. And if you want to drive a highway, ideally, the 5th or 6th or 7th, whatever you have. And sometimes, you go back. At the same time, even if you are a fast mover, you just can't skip the number 1 because you will not get moving at all. So these 5 elements are very interconnected. They form a united one thing, work together and balancing each other. So the first one is obviously the one that if you want to change something, you just need to go out and see what's out. It's like getting into the unknown space. You need to have courage to step outside your comfort zone, outside of what you have been taught, used to do for years, seeing things from a different perspective. And while you go into the unknown space, unknown environment, there's danger. Somebody can, jump on you. You need to, or you can, fall down. You need to get, you can be hurt. But that's the game.
That's the game, yeah.
This is it. You need to be flexible enough to continue going, working. In the business area, it's like doing the research, trying to find solutions to problems, finding different alternatives, not just one. This is one of the things that, busy managers, what can I do with that situation? Oh, I know, boom, this is it. But there are 3, 4, 5, or even more, sometimes more effective alternatives. So this is the first one. This is the first style. Going out and find solution in face of adversity, ambiguity, and also personal risk.
That's right.
So this is the first one.
I like it. You've meant writing down a few key words that you've been mentioning, and we'll go over those at the end because you're bringing up some really cool concepts here. The second one, setting direction through vision and strategy.
When you do the first thing, when you find several distinct alternative solutions, then what you need to do is to choose one. You go through it and see, these are the pros and cons, these are the risks. If I do this, then I would need to do this. So if you consider all that, then you need to decide. As a leader, you need to decide. You need to decide. And the decisions are not easy. Because you cannot please everybody. You do not have so many resources that you would be allowed to do whatever. Usually how it works is, yes, we want better results with less cost. Okay, go. Find a solution. And it's not easy. You need to choose the right things. And to make it even more complex, you need to choose the things that will be sustainable. So solutions that, if you do just the, how would I say that? If you treat just the symptoms, the root causes will come back and you will have the same or similar or even worse situation again. So the more busy you are, the better is to stop and find solution that would treat the root cause. And in that case, you will save time on the future problems, on repeating themselves. So this is it. Some people, it's like the headache pills. You have a headache and you take a pill, but it will not solve the problem. It will just help you not feel the pain. So some people are willing to run away from the pain. They prefer running away from the pain instead of getting healthier.
Yes.
And that's what I see in the companies. Let's deal with the problem right now, immediately, fast, go. It's not perfect,
Right.
go, do it. And then the same problems or problems that are coming from the same source are reappearing.
And here's where I know you practice what you preach. You do take pauses in your schedule frequently. Yes, you do.
I do. Yeah.
Always impresses me that you just shut it down.
Well, some people would call it laziness.
No, I call it the pause. It's, there is a book called The Power of the Pause by I think his name is Terry Hershey, and he talks about the importance of slowing down and stopping. And you do that.
Yeah, and I also do it through the training so that people can stop and get insight. So that's part of my approach to developing.
So in your trainings, you actually build in that pause.
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you find happens with your participants during that pause, after they've come back from that pause?
What happens with them? Some go right in immediately, and it's very powerful. Some people stop this way for the first time in years, and sometimes it opens, the old pains. Some people are very excited because they did it for the first time in years and found how wonderful it is, how energizing it can be. And they come and almost like in peace. And they feel that. And some people fight it. They just say, it's nonsense. Tell me more. We are here to learn. So tell us. And I'm saying, this is part of the learning. So go and do it. And some people say, I can't do it. Just being with myself, I can't do it. Some people even say, I can't meditate. I'm not the one who will be able to learn it, not at all. After a couple of weeks, I don't even tell them. They just close their eyes. And that's it.
That's good. That initial resistance, that's going into the unknown. It doesn't have to be a big
exactly.
It doesn't have to be a big corporate change or strategy change. It could be just as simple as shutting it down for 10, 15 minutes a day.
Well, even 5 minutes is better than
I build
nothing.
in 3-minute just kind of breathing exercises during the day, just to reset, just a short reset.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. I actually, one of my assignments for my students, I teach the connection with nature in one of my classes, and one of their assignments is to go outside for 15 minutes without anybody and without their technology. And they go, some of them do say that, I can't do that. Oh, yes, you can, because it's part of your assignment. And then I have them reflect on that, what happens. It's amazing. It is amazing.
This is what I built in my 5-day program and in the year-long program, that every morning they go out. And I call it meeting yourself. And this is before we start. It's part of the program, but this is before we meet in the classroom. So for an hour.
Outside? They go outside?
And it's beautiful to see.
Awesome.
Outside. Yeah. I obviously do the trainings somewhere in the nature. So either in castles with, the old parks and beautiful energy, or in the natural beauties, so forests, lakes, rivers, something like that, so that they can. I
think we need to collaborate on something, an article on that.
Yeah, I believe we need to.
A little readjustment of my sitting here. Cool. I will. That's another note, so I don't forget as we go along the way. Excuse me. Let's move on to number 3, enlisting support and willing cooperation.
Yeah, that's in the current business environment, when there's a lot of stress and fear and insecurity, this is one of the most important and one of the most lacking, because when the business leaders want something new, they do the first thing. Then they will decide. They have visions, so they say, right, let's go. And this is still in the idea form. So actually no sweating, no work needed to be done. It's just, this is an idea, let's go. But then you need to do something. You need to implement it. You need to sow the seed. You need to take care of the garden or the field. And only then, when you do that, when you take care of the business, of the people, of the change, only then you can get some results. You can get the harvest. It's not automatic. So this is where people are busy with what they do, and you say, and by the way, keep doing that, and there is something else you need to do. By the way, you need to change yourself. You need to change the way you think, you do things. And the first question is, so what shall we do? When we deal with salespeople, it's easy to get this kind of response. Am I here to sell, or am I here to learn? What do you want us to do? And I just say yes.
Right.
Because they need to do both. You can't stop delivering results, but if you do not learn anything new, if you do not do the new things, it will evaporate.
Right.
So it's not sustainable. But if you forget doing that day by day and focus only on the new thing, you will not get money in the companies. So you need to do both. And that's the challenge. And so this is number one. Number two is being so busy and under stress and frustrated and exhausted. People almost like in the state of fighting for survival rather than building something new. It's more about fighting each other rather than working together.
Right.
And the critical piece in this element is to create safe, inspirational, and empowering environment. It's about you as a leader to work shoulder to shoulder with the people you aspire to lead. Being with them so that they see you, they know you, they can touch you, they can talk to you, they see that you are approachable, that you are interested in them, their work and themselves as people, not just as human resources.
Yeah.
As people, so that you can speak to each other. Only then they will trust you. And if they feel safe, they can go much easier behind their
So how do we
zone.
build a safe environment?
There's a lot of things you can do.
Your magic 3. Your magic
3. Well, I will start with number one, and that's listening. Listening to each other. Asking questions, observing what they do, how they behave. Do you see the spark in their eyes? Or is there emptiness? Are they alive or not? So observing, listening, and when you observe and listen, it's good to be present. Not thinking about what they say, I will use it. Being present with them. So it's like I remember years ago when I wrote something, when you don't do anything, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. It's the pause. And when you are present with a person, face to face, something is changing very rapidly. Even if you do not talk.
Yes, that's right.
So if you are present with people this way, immediately they will align themselves with your energy, and things start to happen. So this is the magic behind
Nice.
that.
I like that. Well, we know that works just from our trainings together.
Yeah. But there is far more to it. There are processes that you can do in creating the safe environment, and not only safe. It's about also inspirational, so they can see that things can be done differently. In terms of supporting them, or providing them with recognition. You just say thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's
that thank you.
So.
I see you. Yeah. I do similar. I mean, I get my students to write very personally, and it's something they're not used to doing. And a lot of them open up, tell me things that they don't speak in class. And when I'm reading, I'm going, wow. And to acknowledge that, I just write a thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for having the courage to trust me with your story. Yeah. And just that little bit of acknowledgement just opens doors even more. And these are with people who are not used to writing about their experiences. Used to writing from an arm's length. So I think when we do that in other settings, not just stopping and really acknowledging the other person, we do create this expansive field for possibility.
Yeah. And another type of setting is during the training. I'm always amazed that, when seeing the people for the first time, and they seeing themselves, if they are managers from different companies, how open they can get within an hour. They say things that they do not say to their friends. They share them to strangers. So
sometimes it's easier to share it with a stranger. At first.
Yeah,
anyway. It's practice.
Yeah, I know that this is the part of it. But when I work with, I just had a wonderful experience 2 weeks ago. Last year in August, we started a program year-long, and 2 weeks ago we completed. And the last hour of the whole thing, of 12 months, last hour, I just, how I do things. So if I plan something, I just follow the situation. When it's open, I see the opportunities and just create the space. So I said to myself, what do I do here? And I just, have them to make a circle and, sharing the certificates within each other, a simple thing. And then the program finished. We closed the program like 2 hours later because they didn't want to leave. And they started to share things like what they felt, how they felt. There were two people who for 15 years were fighting each other. And now they, shook hands and said, I'm sorry for that, what I did and, how I treated you and things like that. And, when you see managers in their 40s and 50s with, with eyes, there's something happening.
So cool. That's awesome.
This is what juices me. This is almost like the deep level satisfaction that I see that what I do has a meaning.
Yeah, nice. So, and that's important, having that meaning. Thank you. I know we could go on forever, as we usually can, but we have 2 more steps to get through. I just want to bring that up, and I lost the 5th step. Anyway, number 4, following through to get results. That follow.
Perfect. This is another important one with a lot of misunderstanding. It's about when you plan to do the work, it's good when you do the plan. So when you follow the plan and when you review the results and give feedback. So this is, I would say, no big surprise, right? But in reality, it's not happening. Some people prepare the plan and then they are too rigid to see the opportunities for improvement. So they stick to it. They stick to the guidelines, the procedures, standards, systems, to the extent that goes far beyond the purpose of those guidelines and procedures. The others, for them, it's too slow. They just want to cross all the borders. I just want to do it my way. Why do we need to have standards for that? Let's go. And this is the regular work. But if you want to drive a change, if you want that change to happen, you need to have a bridge from, crossing from one side of the river or a bay onto the other. You just need a firm, solid structure. If you want to get once, okay, you can take a boat or you can swim or do whatever you want. But if you want to go there regularly or with a number of people, because the change is not like you, it's like everybody, the whole company. And in some cases, it's hundreds and thousands of people. You just need to create the structure, the platform that will support the change. So systems and procedures, processes are critically important. But if you overdo it, you actually stop the change. They will become the roadblocks for the change. So, I just was working with a company, a startup company, very successful. But they reached the stage that they needed some kind of procedures, some kind of formal things, standard. And, one of them asked me, we would like to prepare, we would like to change the culture of the company. Can we start and design the new culture? And I said, what do you mean? The set of principles that we will all respect. And I said, okay, you can do it, but not as a starting thing. This will be the result, because you are actually changing the culture through your behavior, how you do things, how you communicate, how you treat your client, how you treat your colleagues, how you treat your team members, how you solve problems, how you approach the conflict situations. And they wanted to have something like a global company. But for them, number one, to put it together would be too difficult. Number two, nobody would obey, because then you would have to train people to be able to behave that way. But if you have a couple of people, it's what you do. You as a leader. This is the way how you
modeling
do
it,
things.
Modeling it. Yeah.
Modeling.
Nice.
And, they did understand. And we focused on how to work together so that it works far more effective. And along the way, we said, okay, so what about communication? How important it is for you? And we took the communication. And not only the concept as such, we took how you drive the meetings. Because they said the meetings, they are terrible. Too much talk, too much one way, no discussion, everybody protecting their own ideas. And this is how you build the culture, the procedures, the systems, the platform. So you do not have to design it and then trying to mold everybody into it. You just start where they are at the moment, which is another major foundational principle of the leadership at the heart approach.
Staying present in the moment, starting at the starting place.
Right. It's like, I call it, the principle of meeting people where they are at the moment.
A long time.
And help them get to the next level.
Right. Go ahead.
Because if you...
No, I was just going to say many years ago, someone that I went to for healing, kind of Rolfing, shared with me a principle that she used in dealing with her mom was stay in the present, meet people where they are, and respond appropriately. And I think that's what you're saying is that response is important.
Exactly. And it's about the response should lead to the next level of performance. So they should either know more, realize more, become more aware of something, or they should learn something, or they should be more confident or more motivated.
The vision I got as we're speaking was like leaders kind of building that bridge for their team, enticing them to cross that bridge rather than pushing them across it.
Yes and no. Sometimes pushing is the best strategy. When you have a fire or another critical situation, a crisis, you just need to say, this is the way, and go. There is no time for discussion. Like having a fire, are you warm enough? Discussing, sharing, what do you think we could do?
And then sometimes they need that push to get going. I think that you talk about that sense of urgency.
Commit.
I'm sorry.
What to do, right? Sometimes in critical situations, go. However, if you do that go all the time, what do you develop? How would people react if you do that all the time?
More of a that's that commanding approach. Yeah.
Exactly. So they would lose their motivation. If you do that for a longer time, they will lose their self-esteem. They would definitely do whatever they can to do as less as possible.
And all those approaches are just the opposite of leading at the heart level.
Exactly. So that's the beauty of that leadership at the heart level, that everybody needs different things. If you have 5 people, some people would need a lot of encouragement. So like holding their hand, helping them to cross the bridge. Others would just say, this is the way, go. So all you need to say, yes. But when you get there,
don't keep going. Got it.
Or you can say, hey, why don't you take care of this person? So this is it, that there is no right answer. This is, everything depends on the situation, on the people in that situation, and on you, where you are in that situation. Are you under stress, frustrated, insecure? Do you feel fear?
Right. Being able to be emotionally aware before you impose a certain action on your team. We have lots. I mean, this list keeps going. I know we can just like keep going and going and going. let's hit your fifth one, because I really want to wrap this up with a little bit of talk about your program and what you do. And you mentioned your year-long program.
Right.
Learning from experience. I think you've kind of given examples in your own life of learning from experience. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, that learning is critically important, and the best we can learn is from experience, both from the negative, basically learning from what happened. For example, if I set a plan and I do not follow the plan, then I can learn about my discipline, right? Or about, why should I, didn't expect something. If I did what I said I would do, and still I'm not getting the results, either the plan was wrong, or I did it, but incorrectly. And I can learn about, myself in the first place, how to plan better next time. In the second, how to do things better next time. And the last element of leadership is about answering the question. This is about pausing. This is about pausing, reflecting, individually and collectively, and saying, are we going in the right direction? This is about taking that different perspective and saying, no matter what our results were, are we still going where we want to go? And are we using the things, the behavior, the systems, processes that are helping us, or are they slowing us down? Are we going with the right people?
Yeah.
Yes or no? It's about for the leader to have the courage to ask for the feedback, how he or she is good at leading people, team, organization. So this is reflection. You look into water and you see. And you have to see the reality. Some managers, too many, are running forward so fast that they do not stop. If they do not stop and learn, what is the consequence?
Important. You've mentioned that several times, that stopping, that pausing, that reflection.
If you do not learn, you keep doing the same thing.
No new results.
Again.
Same old thing, no new results.
No new results.
We packed this hour, and we will have to do. I've got lots of ideas. More of these. More of these blabs, and I think at times we should maybe just focus on one topic, because I literally have probably 10 themes: trust, vulnerability, balance, flexibility, pause, building a bridge, having courage to take risks and receive feedback. We didn't use the word exactly, but you did infer using intuition, being able to read a situation, read the group, and that importance of nature. So lots of themes that we can bounce off of and go from here. But in this final couple minutes here, tell us about your program. Tell us how we can reach you. Leadership at the heart level.
Well, the Leadership at the Heart Level was the program that I designed after coming from BTS and starting TTT. I just felt when I was flying from California back to Prague, up in the air, I'm always reflecting, and the reflection was that I hit something very important, and that there is that it would take more time, but I was at the brink. I knew that I need to change something, and I was disappointed. The business went well, the programs were great, but I just missed something. I wanted that extra thing, and that's what I found. And it was not only in the program and how it was run. It was about the heart. And if you recall BDS and TTT, it was about the heart.
Right, and that's
at least,
breakthrough
for
to
me.
success. Jack Canfield's breakthrough to success, and Jack Canfield's trainer program. Yeah,
right.
We had to work on ourselves first.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We weren't there just to build businesses. We had to do our personal work. It was about the heart.
So at that point of time, I decided that short-term program have their value in terms of providing the mirror, inspiring people for change, for some kind of change. But if I really wanted to help people to improve change, enhance the quality of life in organizations, I need to start from the top. So, and then cascade down, so that I do not have to develop everybody in the company. But if I start on the top, everything will cascade down on its own. And that's why I said it takes time to do the necessary changes, personal changes for the participants. So if I lead a company, it's not only that I just switch on, switch off. It's about saying, I need to become more aware of how I communicate with people. I need to be more present. I need to, whatever it is. And in their busy time schedules, even if you focus on it, immediately you are taken away from it. So I designed a program that is like, we meet 6 times in a year, and it's a group meeting every other month, and between them is individual coaching using the RIM and things like that. So this is long enough to make significant transformation, and yet short enough to see immediate results and progress. So this was the starting point. And I ran it since 2011. It was the first time I started with it. And usually I open 1 class or 2 classes a year. And then I realized that this is so fruitful, and the things that we talk about, there are so many, that it would be better if I take something out of it and put it forward, like before that. And this is how the Change Navigator came about. I just took those 5 elements of leadership styles, and a couple of principles, and that are described in that chapter in the book, and designed a program that actually within 5 days, within a week, 5 days, you can get a real, unique, personal experience and understanding about the styles and energies and elements and dynamics of leading change that really goes beyond the intellectual understanding, because it's full of exercises, it's full of work together and sharing and discussion. So it's very interactive. So when people, after 5 days, they come back and they are in a different place. So if they want, they can then go to that year-long
get a little taste of it.
Because then they will learn the skills, they will learn to implement things. So these are actually 2 programs that go in the same direction, but they have different purpose.
What about your email or your website?
My email is easy. It's jp@jaroslavprusa.cz. So basically my name. And okay, so jp@ JAROSLAVPRUSA.cz. And the website
CZ, right?
is just
CZ. Okay.
CZ. Yeah, CZ. Sorry. It's like Czech Republic. So, and the website is www.jaroslavprusa.cz.
All right, I'm putting it in the chat, and then your email is JP. Well, they can just go to your you have a contact page, right? Is that right? Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. We had a packed hour. And so next week we have Sally Dooley from Australia. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sharing her chapter and her concepts, her leadership concepts from the land down under. So we really are a global initiative here, taking this, we all connected at the heart level through Jack's work, which is awesome. And not
only Jack's work, right?
No, not only Jack's work.
Jack's
work. Deb's work. You and I do Deb's work. Yes, yeah.
But also, if you look at the people, we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
In terms of attitude and the place from which we were.
Those were the meeting places. Those are the places we met and were able to. Yes.
Good.
Yes. So I'm going to end this recording, and then we stay on the line for just a minute. I'll be right back with you. So thanks, everyone. Okay. We'll see you next week. We'll put out an announcement for place and time, and have a great weekend.